So now we're going to talk about type, and I think since I'm making these up on the fly to show you how I work, um, I figured we can just continue with this layout that we had here. I'm trying to figure out if we need. I think we're okay with what we have here. Basically, with type, I usually try to keep a couple things in mind. One, the very first one is to try to think about the feeling of the type, the visual feel of the type. You need to think about what you're trying to communicate. Not only that, in conjunction with your brand style, also. So typically, you have some type that you have chosen already. For example, I have these that I've chosen. I also have started to use two other font types, and not this one so much, Overlock. Just because I like having very, very minimal looking, simple fonts that I can work in different ways. This is a display font, and it's very, you can see that it has a particular feeling to it. It has soft edges, and it's a very soft looking font, which is great because my brand is as well. So I do use it, but I use it sparingly. This is what would be considered a display font, something that you use to highlight things. So is Sacramento. It is a type that it's very pretty, but can also be hard to read. Like if you put, this might be too light, but let's do it like that. So this, if you set this, let's say it's a paragraph in Sacramento. See? This is, you don't want to read this at all. At all. It is difficult to read. It's way smaller also. You saw that I only changed the font, not the size. So first of all, in order to even get it anywhere near here, we're going to have to probably go to at least 21, I would assume, and probably more, 24. So, and even so, I don't know about you, this is not something I would want to read. I would definitely get tired of reading this. And a lot of people set their websites or their blog posts in fonts like these because they're pretty and the whole thing. Don't do it. For text, for copy, you want to use a very simple, clean font, and usually for the internet, you're gonna want to use a sans serif. So it's a font that has no finishing strokes. This is a sans serif, and let's see. This is a serif. It's a very nice serif, but serifs were used in text, more printed text actually, because it was believed that the little serifs lead your eye into the next word. I mean, by comparison, of course, this is still easier to read. There's no problem with serifs being set for the websites or, blog posts, like long sets of text. I do prefer sans serif. That's one, that's my favorite. Here's Carla's, another one that's good. A really popular one is Helvetica, of course. These are all, and as you can see, they all have different X heights. They have different spacing. For Helvetica, it looks a little more crowded. You can do a lot of, I'm working in Illustrator. Obviously, I have more control. You can open it up more. Less. If you do that to work sans, you'll see the difference. this is my go-to. I also use it for all sorts of things. WorkSans has, I'll show you the family. It has thin, extra light, light, regular, medium, semi-bold, bold, extra bold, and black. So you don't really run out. The only thing that WorkSans doesn't have is an italic, and that's why I like using Carla as well. Carla has a pretty italic. I'm very picky about my fonts, as you can probably tell. So I have a couple of go-tos. This is the type of thing that you should be doing in your style guide. You should figure out the types that you prefer to use, the ones that will go well with your branding, and stick to them. Once you pick, I go between Carla and WorkSans, depending, and mostly it's for quotes or different kind of graphics. For your website, my website font is WorkSans, and that's it. Everything is set in WorkSans, unless it's a quote or a special graphic. I don't do anything else. That keeps continuity in your brand, and it allows for you to work quicker as well. You don't have to spend time for every single project choosing a font. You already know what your fonts are. They're right here. You selected them. That's it. You're done. So let's go back to our little fake editorial here. So I started working on, giving a little bit of embellishment to it. For a title, I did WorkSans. I put it in semi-bold. And let's see. If I wanted to, let's say we had our title, and then we had a subtitle. Obviously, this can be used for a subtitle if we wanted to. We can put it up here. We would have to pair this. The lorem ipsum text fills in, and then it doesn't. You know what? I'm just gonna make a new one. This is our subtitle. So it's already set. You can select here, and it just copies it. So for me, these two are too similar. I wouldn't put these two together because they look too similar. Even though this is thinner and smaller, there is a little bit of competition. Your eye doesn't know which one is more important. You have to make sure that you differentiate between them. So I like pairing sans serifs with serifs. And I'm very picky about my serifs. Laura is one that I like, but I only use Laura Italic. And I don't like to use it with all caps. So let's take that off. So now you start to see it looks a little better, and as a matter of fact, I would probably make it even smaller. See it at 18. I like that. It would probably look a lot nicer if we actually had real text. So now that we have this text, and this is our subtitle, this is looking too big, obviously. So we're going to go down to 12. That is starting to look right. This can go down to 12. And if we want, sometimes the auto lines, the spacing is in between the lines. Sometimes I'd like to go in there and do my own spacing because I don't like it. Maybe I like that a little better. And since we have changed things now and we added Laura in here, we have Work Sans here, this is Work Sans as well, sticking another font in there would not be a good idea. So we either have to make this like the sub. That's what I like to do when I highlight. I use the same font as a subtitle. So you can do that, or you could do it in a different color if you wanted to differentiate it. Let's say that color. There we go. And we can go back to our grid and make sure that we're staying. See this one, we need to, okay. And then here, this looks like it would be its own paragraph, and here we're starting to talk about something else. So if we want, we could leave this at 18. For me right now it looks a little big, so we can do that. Maybe open it up for a little more spacing. Again, if there's a line that you want to highlight, I recommend highlighting a lot. Let's see, we would do it with maybe medium or semi-bold. Let's try semi-bold. There's something important here that we want to say. You could leave it in the same color, or you can also, like I said, use color to highlight. Now to me, that needs to be just a tad darker. Use your intuition. Normally, you know what to do. So if this was an editorial, this is starting to look like something that's working nicely. If we wanted to, we can start getting a little fancier and embellishing. I would probably do the red color and again, you would use the grid here to make sure that you're, say, you would go from here to here. And for me, I would want this to be sort of a hairline because of the red. So now you have this title. You could do the same here if you wanted. I could tie these two together. So using fonts, I would keep my font choices to about 2. If you're laying out blogs or long bits of text, maybe 3. I'll show you a little bit of the sales page and the things that I've done to use font. Again, these are all Work Sans, Work Sans, Work Sans. I typically stay within 1 to 2. And you can see that you can make stuff look very different just by the difference in color, size, and the way that you use it. The bold, light. There's a lot of ways to make something look interesting. And again, these are all the same font. There's no need to go crazy with fonts. Pick a good font that has a lot of variations and you should be okay. I go a little bit further into fonts in a workbook that I have on my website as well, so I'll leave you that link. But I think that's all for right now. We went through hierarchy, balance, and some use of type. I hope this has been really helpful to you. I really look forward to seeing the work that you guys put out there into the world, your social media graphics, your web designs, your opt-ins. All these things can benefit from these basic principles of design. So go out there and use them. And if you run into any kind of trouble, please let me know. I'm at delightfullydesigning.com and I'd be more than happy to help you guys out.